According to the Bible, Adam and Eve lived 4,000 years before the time of Christ. The flood occurred around 2,700 years before Christ, meaning civilization started over during the time when Noah landed the ark in Anatolia. However, there are some things that seem to go against this theory. But I'll give the credit to where credit's due. If the ark's going to land anywhere, Anatolia is a great place for it to land, because this is an ancient place that goes back millions of years. The Black Sea region was inhabited by people for hundreds and thousands of years. This is the Anatolian Earth Mother, Kubaba, later known as Cybele. And if you look at her depiction, seated, heavy-set, grandmother figure, there's something really interesting about Kubaba. Number one, she seems to predate written language and even make her way all the way down into the Roman era as Cybele, the Great Mother, venerated. Her evolution over time is phenomenal. And the reason why it is because she is older than the Bible itself. She's older than the Bible even reports time itself to be. Now, what do I mean by that? For a long time, we didn't know how old the world was. For many centuries, scholars sort of went along with the Bible. The Bible says Adam and Eve and Noah, Babylon was the first city around 3500 BCE. All right, let's go with that. But since the Enlightenment, scholarship has gotten a lot better. And now we know that the Earth is millions of years old, and humans have been around for hundreds of thousands of years. In 1999, in Morocco, a depiction just like Kubaba was found, known as Venus of Tantan. This idol is dated to 300,000 to 500,000 years old. You didn't hear that wrong. 300,000 to 500,000 years old, according to Robert Bednarik, an anthropologist, who says this is the earliest representation of the human form in existence on the planet. Discovered in 1999 during an archaeological survey by Lutz Fiedler, Northwest Africa, in Morocco. According to Bednarik, this was most likely a manuport, which is an object that appears to look like a shape and then is taken as one. The horizontal grooves were caused by some sort of carving stone tool. The dating has been a point of controversy, however. The findings of Bednarik have not been re-examined by other scholars. His statements had neither been confirmed nor rejected. Stanley Ambrose thinks that the object is as old as they say it is, due to its natural weathering patterns. This is called the Lion Man. The Lion Man was found in Baden-Württemberg, Germany. It's 40,000 years old, sculpted with mammoth tusk ivory, a species of mammoth that has been long extinct, dating this thing to clearly 40,000 years old. It has the head of a cave lion, another extinct animal, with a partly human body, and it stands upright. What you're staring at right now is an object that is so ancient that it's not even conceived of being this old before we figured out the age of the Earth. Found in 1939, this Lion Man makes a story that sounds like a myth. The wear on his body was caused by the handling of being passed around and rubbed as a part of a ritual or religious rite. It's impossible to know what the story was about him. However, some of the oldest images of the god Mithras depicts him standing upright with the head of a lion wrapped with a serpent, like Fanny, which is the primordial deity, the oldest myth that people know of in ancient Greece, as the story of a primordial god or goddess leaping out of chaos, wrapped around with a serpent, And here we have one of the oldest gods, Mithra, who shows up in the Rig Veda as Mithra. And has the head of a lion wrapped around by a serpent. Now, it's probably a stretch to say that the Lion Man is connected to Mithras. However, it is very interesting that we look at Mithra. His story is told all the way in the beginning as soon as we find writing. And here we are, depicted in the same way. Venus of Willendorf is estimated to be 25,000 to 30,000 years old, found in August of 1908 by Johann Varon in a site near Willendorf in Lower Austria. It is carved from oolitic limestone that is not even local to the area and tinted with red ochre. The reason why this figure is dated to what it is its association with Upper Palaeolithic Gravettian industry, with similar sculptures exactly like this dating to the same time. It probably was left on the ground somewhere and buried around 25,000 years ago, with radiocarbon dating surrounding this exact time. It seems to be a type of fertility idol. It never had any feet and would not have stood on its own. It might have been pegged into soft ground and stood up on a pedestal. Notice the similarities between this Venus and the Kubaba figure from Anatolia, later becomes the model for Kybele. Venus at Bearcat Ram is also dated to 280,000 years ago. It's a small pebble found on the Golan Heights near Israel. It was excavated by Nama Goran Inbar from the Institute of Archaeology at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Inbar suggested that the object resembled a female body and that was artificially modified by hominids to emphasize its anthropomorphic features. The object was called a figurine and is currently known as Venus of Bearcat Ram, and it's fascinating how similar these objects turn out to be. Venus of Hohle Fels, dated to 40,000 years ago, found in Europe near Germany. This is the oldest undisputed example of a depiction of a human being. The other two that I mentioned have disputes. This has no disputes. 40,000 years old. Venus figurine looks almost similar to the other ones that I've shown, and it's sculpted from a woolly mammoth tusk, an animal that is no longer alive on the planet. Venus of Dolny Vestanici, 29,000 years ago, found in the Czech Republic at the base of Devon Mountain. It seems to be a symbol of fertility. Relatively smaller head and little detail. A feature which no longer remains part of the sculpture is the fact that it is thought to have been originally ornamented with 4 feathers. This is evidenced by the 4 small holes on the top of the head. Although the type of feather has not been determined, the holes are said to be produced with a tool that is relatively sharp. In addition to the Venus figurine, figures of a bear, a lion, and a mammoth, along with horse, fox, rhino, and owls, and more than 2,000 balls of burnt clay were found in the same general location. This is the Venus of Galgenberg, dated to 30,000 years old. Because of the figurine exhibits a dancing pose, it was nicknamed Fanny after Fanny Elsler, an Austrian ballerina of the 19th century. It is sculpted from shiny green serpentine rock, which is found in the immediate vicinity of where the figurine was unearthed. This beautiful image right here is known as the Venus of Lassel, carved from the limestone rock in Marseille, France. The figure holds a bison horn in the shape of a crescent moon, or possibly a cornucopia, which would be held with oil inside of it. It has 13 notches. She has large breasts and a great stomach, just like the other Venuses do, or later on, Kybele. This one's dated to 25,000 years old. This is direct evidence of sophisticated Stone Age tool use. This one was discovered in 1911. The figure and the horn are considered significant in figurative studies of Paleolithic art, and it seems to be just right in line with the other Venus images of around the world. The color and the number of notches on the horn may symbolize the number of moons in a year and the number of menstrual cycles in a year, connecting the goddess with the moon and menstrual cycles. Venus of Lespugu, dated to 25,000 years ago, in the foothills of the Pyrenees in France and Spain. This one is 6 inches tall, carved from tusk ivory, an extinct animal. The carving shows a skirt hanging below the hips, made of twisted fibers. This statue may display the earliest representation of someone spinning thread. This one is my favorite, Venus of Brassempouy, known as the Lady with the Hood, another fragment of ivory carved from tusk, dated to 25,000 years ago, found near Spain. She is wearing a hat, which is evidence of sophistication in dress from the Stone Age. This Venus is carved with Mammoth Ivory, and according to archaeologist Paul Bond, the head is unsexed, although it is usually called a Venus or a lady, but the head has a forehead, nose, and brows carved in relief with no mouth. On the head is a checkerboard-like pattern formed by 2 series of shallow incisions at right angles to each other. The hair is styled in cornrows. It is agreed by scholars that this Venus also belongs to the Paleolithic material culture of the Gravettian from 22,000 to 29,000 years ago. This one, known as the Venus figurine of Gagarino, also made with ivory, dating to 20,000 years ago from Russia. The depiction is very similar to the other ones seen all around the world. This is Venus Zarius, both of these found in the same location, made from Mammoth Ivory, dated to 14,000 years ago from Russia. And lastly, the Venus of Monruz is another Venus figurine dated to around 10,000 years ago, right around the time of Göbekli Tepe, when languages are being developed and a civilization is starting to form. When we're almost entering the Copper Age and leaving the Stone Age, we see some sophistication. It has a black jet pendant in the shape of a stylized human body, almost like modern art. Discovered in 1991 in Switzerland. And so with that being said, with the world being way older than we previously thought it does, what does that do about the Bible? What do you guys think? Put that in the text, in the comments. Let me know what you think. And you have just attained true gnosis.